Welcome back to Archetypical. Today I want to chat with two really experts on our teams here and chat about their experiences, their careers, what they do here, and also why they joined Archetype in the first place. So why don't we just start with intros, and I'll start with Sammy here.
Yeah. My name is Sammy Boukhris. I've been here less than a year, just about even less than 6 months. I'm an engagement lead, reporting up to the COO and manage projects, work on customer relationship. I'm kind of overall responsible for the end-to-end relationship with our customers.
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
Nice. All right.
My name is Marty Gaupp. I've been here about 9 months now. I'm the head of the data science practice for us. I lead a small team of data scientists and get to do data science, but then also manage some of the projects, lead some of the efforts, and just provide some mentorship to the up-and-comers who are in the space.
Love it. Curious, the engagement lead, and how did you get really into that type of role in your career? Kind of walk me through that.
Absolutely. So I started off in a totally different industry that not a lot of people would expect, but I started in construction and development. And that start is where I cut my teeth on project management. And if you want to learn project management, that's the perfect industry really to learn about project management. You're managing a lot of different resources with a lot of money that is not your money, and those resources aren't your resources to assign. So you have to learn different tactics and methodologies to making sure that you're meeting the client's needs on time and within their budget. So my father, he's an immigrant, and like a lot of immigrants, they tell you that you have a career choice of engineering, doctor, or lawyer. Those were my three choices, and I went against his wishes and then realized that he was actually onto something and went back into the tech space. And so that transition was an interesting transition, but once I got to make that transition, I realized that there are ample opportunities to bring some of that thought leadership that they have in construction around project management, but that there's also this concept called agile project management, and that kind of filled the gap that I had of what was missing in the world of construction. So I started adopting these new principles and then applying some of my old principles, and then I have this kind of hodgepodge of experience that has created what I kind of parlay it into, the ideal customer experience. And that's really understanding the problems that our customers are trying to solve for and focusing on solving for those unique issues that they have, as opposed to we're just a system integrator coming to do this software implementation. And so that's why I'm here now. The engagement management role at any company is really responsible for the end-to-end customer experience from soup to nuts, from start to finish. And really, ideally, there's no finish to our engagement, right? So you may end a project, however, you want that long-term relationship to build out with the customer. There's been different iterations of this kind of role in the past, where you used to call them an account manager in sales, but the metrics that they are driven by don't really condone a behavior of longevity, right? It's all about you make sure that they grow. Customer success is another iteration of this, right? And the customer success managers or customer success directors, those roles also have a different set of metrics around churn and debookings and stuff like that, to making sure that their clients stay, but they're not really responsible for projects. So this kind of engagement manager role owns the project through and through, but is also responsible for the end-to-end customer experience. And
Nice.
So that's why I'm here.
Nice. Do you feel like your customer experience and the passion that you have for that customer experience, was that the same when you were in construction, you feel like, of like wanting to get that home or whatever was being built perfect for whoever the client was? Or do you feel like that really passion came when you moved over to that agile and more tech space?
That's a great question. I've actually never thought about that before. And when you say it, I realize that's probably where my idea for delivering an excellent customer experience stemmed from, because I'm actually playing with people's money, and it's their personal money. And I mean, we were talking, I was in commercial construction, so we were talking millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So they have a very vested interest, and they're very passionate about the output that you create. So looking back, yeah, I think that's actually what did shape the reason I have this idea of creating a great customer experience.
Yeah, I feel like in particular right now with construction and now in the really analytic space, a lot of like the commercial, like what you're building for their businesses or their new offices or whatever, this is where they're going to call essentially home for most of like what they do and where their innovation is going to happen. And like that is the tech space now in most companies as well. That is almost their office spaces. It's the same level.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So how about you, Marty? Walk us through kind of your kind of career a little bit, how you got to where you are, and why you love data science so much.
So similar to Sammy, I'm a child of immigrants. Actually, I think I can technically say English was my second language. So growing up, I bounced between German and English a lot. Had a hard time with words. Numbers are the same. So I was destined to do math. It was part of me. Went to college, studied math, applied math, operations research. Spent 22 years in the Air Force as a scientific analyst doing analysis, which essentially morphed into data science. Retired from the Air Force, worked at a bank and an insurance company applying data science, and then came here. I love solving problems. I love fixing things. I drive my family nuts because wherever we go, if the line's too long or the service isn't being done right, I look at it and I go, we can make this better. We can do better. and that's what I love to do. I'm like a handyman around the house. I like fixing things. That's what I love about the problem space that we're in. And we got a lot of problems that need fixing. And math is like that language that allows you to equate everything. And you can use it, and it's data-based, not a database, it's data-based. You can't argue about facts. So you apply those facts to your problem, and then you fix the problem, and you move on. And that's what I love about the data science space. Compute power is through the roof. Data is available all over the place. I mean, we can solve a lot of problems if we just put our minds to it. And working in the consulting space, in the military, I moved every 3 years. I get bored. I didn't have to worry. I'm going to have a new job in 3 years. And in consulting, it's the same way. You get to move on to a new project. You get to go into something, help them out, fix it, and then move on. And that's what I love about it. It's the variety, the energy, the people you get to work with. That's what's so much fun.
I love it. And obviously I want to say for sure, personally, and obviously from Archetype, thank you for your service.
Well, I appreciate the support.
It's an amazing thing. And now you taught as well.
Yes. So I spent a lot of the military is a great place to go to get an education and also to provide an education. So they sent me through a lot of school while I was on active duty. And then I got to teach at the Air Force Academy also. Awesome. So I got to teach math. I got to teach economics. And for anyone out there who wants to learn something, teach it. That's when I really learned how to do that stuff. Because the students are going to ask you all kinds of questions. And some of them, unfortunately, are pretty dumb questions. But there's a lot of questions where you go, man, I never thought of it that way. And now I've got to explain something to you that is a non-traditional way of explaining things. And I think that's what really helped me become a good communicator in practice, because we're always explaining what we do. And you're explaining it to people who sometimes really don't want to hear the answer, and other times don't have the ability to understand it because they just don't have the technical depth of you. They're not dumb. I hate when people say you got to dumb it down. No. These people aren't dumb. They just don't have that experience like you do. So you have to bring it and contextualize it to what they understand and get them to buy into it and say, I want more of that. And that's what you have to do as a teacher. I taught a class at the Air Force Academy that we like to call Stats for Poets. It was a statistics class for non-technical majors, history majors, English majors. These kids would walk into my class and say to my face, I hate math, I hate you. My job was to make them appreciate numbers. And by the end of the semester, I was usually pretty successful.
They still hated you, though.
They hated me because I was a math teacher, but they appreciated the numbers. And that's all that mattered, because we all need to understand numbers. Not everyone's going to be a mathematician. Right. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But hating numbers is not the answer. You got to appreciate it and learn how to use it and exploit it. And that's what I did.
Yeah. I've always loved that the aspect of how you mentioned, like the military is a great place to get an education, but also be able to teach it. Even that's something I have a close friend of mine who's in the Air Force. He's actually a boom operator in the Air Force. And a quick funny story of when we were talking to him, like, oh, well, what's your plan? I'm pretty sure he's going to be kind of done with his service here soon. What's your plan afterwards, like with the experience you gained? And his line was, well, I'm going to be probably the most qualified gas station attendant. You don't even have to stop the car. You just keep going.
You need to explain what a boom operator is.
Oh, yes. Boom operator, obviously. So, I mean, you're filling the planes and the jets and the fighter jets midair. You're filling them up, and it's
and aero refueling is a capability that is almost unique to the United States Air Force. And it's what gives us what's called legs, the ability to get anywhere on the planet and stay there, because we can send up a jet. Doesn't have a big fuel tank. It's got a lot of rooms for missiles and bullets, but not a lot of fuel. So you need those tankers up there to regas them. Well, if you have to fly all the way back home every time, you can imagine that's a lot of wasted effort. We put a tanker up there, and it's a mid-air refueling station that you can go up to, get more gas, and go back and take care of the bad guys.
He's told me the stories of how obviously these are expensive jets, and how like precise they have to be. Like this is mid-air, they're flying and trying to pump fuel into this jet, and how like if you scratch the paint on it, it's not like they can touch up the paint. Right, they have to repaint the entire jet. And it's not your like bathroom paint.
You're not going to Sherwin-Williams.
No.
Color match this gray.
Exactly. So I'm curious. I mean, both you guys obviously joining Archetype pretty recently, and at least in the past year. And what made you join Archetype? What excites you about what we're doing and being a part of this team? Start. Whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. What excited me about Archetype was the variety of the projects you guys work on. And like I said, I'm not the kind of person who wants to sit at a desk and do the same thing for the next 20 years. I like the variety because I think that's how you learn new things. And you go into a new situation and it's a little uncomfortable. There's, you got to learn the personalities, you got to learn the systems, but then you quickly pick it up and you become a quasi-expert, and you can say, okay, let's point out the inefficiencies. Let's make it better. Let's do that. And Archetype gives you that vehicle to do that. We have so many tools at our disposal. That's one of my favorite things about working here is if there's a new tool out there, it's not a question of, I got to get corporate approval to load it on an example. And go and do it. Go find it. Go use it. If it works, let's contact these guys and say, hey, we want to work with you, rather than let's just buy it.
Yeah.
And so it's that partnership aspect that Archetype, even as a small company, I think I came from a pretty darn big company. I think you have more partners here with a fraction of the number of people working here than I did at the company I came from.
Yeah.
So for me, I think there's really three reasons. Number one is leadership. Number two is bleeding edge technology. And number three is agility. So when I look at a company that I'm going to work for, first of all, Marty and I we go back. We worked at a company together, and I called him whenever he was leaving, saying, "Hey, I'm sad to see you go, but I'm excited for your opportunity," and learned a little bit about it. And then I called him 6 months later, because usually 6 months later that's the time frame by which somebody either
the honeymoon's over.
Yeah, the honeymoon's over. You either are going to say, "I love this company still," or you're going to say, "Well, man, I regret my decision." So I called, and it was right at the 6 month mark, and he was still just so high on this company and what they're doing. And he loves, what I heard from you was, I get to actually play, right? It's not just a kind of this theoretical application of what I love to do. I'm in the sandbox playing there too. And you really like that. And you talked a little bit about leadership. And anyway, so that's when I started I watched some of the Archetypical videos. I'm proud of myself, by the way. I said it the right way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And good pitch too.
We struggled a lot on saying Archetypical. But whenever I watched some of the videos and I saw Jason and Max, the founder and co-founder, and some of the stuff that they said, that told me a lot about what leadership, how they think and how they act here. And one of the biggest things that resonated was when Jason was talking about, when there's a fire, we don't talk about who started the fire. We go put out the fire first. And then we can do a retro and think about, what did we do wrong and how can we make sure that doesn't happen again? Yeah. What I heard from that was leadership's got my back, right? He's acknowledging that these projects aren't perfect, right? We're not perfect. We're human. And so we're going to err, and it's okay if we cause issues. We just have to, it's about how you handle it, how you fix it. Right, I'm sure that there's a lot of applications in military background as well, right? You don't sit there and point at the people as to why they made a mistake. You go help them first. Yep. And so that's number one. Number two, the bleeding edge technology, like Marty alluded to, we're always looking at ways of doing things better. And because we have the ability to go, we know that there's this new platform coming out and it's going to solve for this need in the marketplace. Like, let's go take a look at it and see if we can utilize that to create a solution for our clients. Mm-hmm. When you have a lot of those solutions in your quiver, that really makes your job a lot easier because then you're not trying to push this one solution where maybe you have a couple issues with it. And I've worked in software as well. I've worked for software companies, and that's sometimes hard when you're looking at your solution and you know that maybe there's a solution out there that's a little bit better than us and that would solve for this client's problem, but obviously you can't say anything. Here we can. Right. Yeah. And so I think those are the two things primarily that I focused on. 3 being agile and kind of this agility. It's a small company and we're nimble. And by definition, we have the ability to be agile. Something doesn't work. Guess what? We're not going to just continue to trudge down that path thinking that we're going to make it work. We're going to be able to change. And I love being able to kind of be that the tip of the spear for change, if you will. Being able to say, hey, there's potentially a different way of doing it. And I may not have the answers, but let's talk through it. And everybody being open to that is really attractive to me. So ultimately, those 3 reasons are why I came.
Love it. Awesome. And I'm assuming part of your reason too was somebody said that the recruiter is like really attractive guy, and you were like, that's who I want to work with.
A bulldog.
That's right.
I messaged him.
Relentless. Relentless. Persistent.
Love it.
No, one thing you said about leadership, and Sammy and I were listening to Jason about a month or 2 ago at one of the company meetings, and we were IMing each other because we came from the same place, and we were saying, this is so different than where we came from. Just the openness, the transparency, the humility of our leaders who come to us genuinely saying, hey, how do you fix this? What's your thought on how to fix it? And inviting us to be contrary to them. Coming from the military, you don't argue with your boss, but really, yes, if you're a good boss, you want your people to argue with you because otherwise you go out there with no clothes on.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Jason, Max, and Andy invite from us here is, tell me what I'm not doing right. Tell me how to do it better. Tell me how to fix it. They're open to that. And you can't put a price on that. That's what you want in a leader.
That's true.
And frankly, that's what I try to do with the people who work for me. I always tell them, tell me what I'm doing wrong. And why can I do that? Because our boss exhibits that and it flows down to everybody. The culture here is one of humility and openness. And that's how you get good work done. when no one is a prima donna and saying my way or the highway.
And when you think of it, if that's how things are internally, how does that affect our delivery externally?
Exactly.
It's the same.
It's exactly the
exact same.
Yep.
I love it.
And that's why Jason brags about, what do we have, 80% repeat customers?
Yeah.
Not surprising at all, because they see that in the way we do stuff.
Totally. Perfect. Well, I appreciate both of you guys coming on and chatting with me about this. Obviously, if you have any interest, connect with them on LinkedIn, shoot them a message, find out more. I'll obviously add their profiles below, but should we do the like and subscribe now, or is that
that's down or whatever it is?
Love it. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time with more, and we'll bring these guys on again and chat even further data science and agile methodologies, I'm sure. Thanks.
Thanks.